This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on and ready to go.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
Good evening, fellow Lions fans, not Foxes fans tonight. Lions fans, how the devil are we? Happy. I've just got to say, can you hear the Scotland sing? No. Can you hear the Scotland sing? No. Can you hear the Scotland sing? I can't hear a fucking thing. Well, it's going home, but I think it's going home to Glasgow because they're going home. This is Leicester Till I Die TV. We are going to be looking back at England versus Scotland, England versus the Czech Republic, and maybe Scotland might just get a mention. Shh. I managed it. I did it once, but I got away with it.
It's the Euros 2020 with Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV.
It certainly is, and we are Leicester Till I Die TV, which is how you can find us on the old YouTube, which is that one. If you are in the Twitter sphere, which is that one, it's at Leicester TID, and Facebook, Leicester Till I Die the group. Comment, let us know your thoughts. We were through anyway, but it's nice to be through. And if you are watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, smash the likes. If there's a button there, you know you've got to press it. Let's press this guy's buttons and see what happens. Brad, good evening.
Evening, Chris. Evening.
Not adverse to having your buttons pressed, I believe.
No, I'm not. Not adverse to that.
Hey, it's going home, but it's going home to Scotland.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, isn't it? They waited 23 years and then they went home with under 20 days.
Yes.
23 years they made the tournament, you're going quicker than you did years waiting for it. That's impressive.
Yes, I mean, you know, there were I was just doing a second half watch along, which I picked the wrong half to watch along with, and there was a Scotland fan in there, and he was saying, you know, they're taking out of it the fact that this might just be the start of a turnaround for Scotland, and I think it's going to be a bit like Liverpool, you know, 30 years.
Turn around down the wrong road on the motorway and then back up home. That's where the turnaround is for Scotland. It's nice to see Ivan Perisic. It's nice to see Ivan Perisic ruin someone else's dreams for a change. I've got to
be honest with you though. How old is bloody Modric? Is he still going?
Yeah. 34 as well, and he hit that like a Modric rolling back the years, didn't he?
He did, didn't he? Well, we're going to say evening to Daniel. Hiya, Daniel, mate. Thanks for joining us. And hello to Ankit, Chelsea fan. Well, Chilwell never learns, does he? But then again, we didn't miss him, did we, Brad?
Certainly didn't. And I think a lot of England fans might have climaxed when they saw Jack Grealish on the starting 11. I think that was the most exciting news that England fans had heard since Scotland going home.
Don't get me started on that. But we will come on to Grealish later, because there's two players I want to talk to you about. But first of all, we were through anyway. But that first half, to be honest with you, I thought was the best half of football from England of the three games.
Yeah, it was. I mean, considering they only had to compete against about 15 minutes of good football against Croatia, it wasn't hard to beat. But it's something you like to see, and you probably saw in two different halves of football how Southgate's going to go about it. I mean, I don't usually say this, but the commentators made some very good points. The ones that go far in the tournament, and I know they pointed out winners, but they were obviously including other countries in this realm, was they don't always go through easy, do they? You see some teams get semi-finals and finals that have a bit of a drab qualifier, and 3 clean sheets, top of the group, you take it. It might not have been the prettiest way to do it, but it was definitely a way to do it nonetheless.
I did say, in the show I was on, like, what more could we ask for? We finished top of the group. We haven't lost a game. We haven't conceded a goal. Whether we'd won it wouldn't have made any difference if we'd won 4-4, drawn 4-0, drawn 2-2, and won 5-0. We would still be in the same position we are now. Yeah,
definitely. Again, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if ask England fans right now, let's just say, for argument's sake, doesn't matter. Germany, Portugal, or France in the next round. Let's say that, unless Hungary pull off the surprise of the whole tournament. It's not North Macedonia, so I can't back them anymore. So unless that happens, if England fans were told right now that England were going to play the way that they just did over the course of the 3 games, but win 1-0, they'd bite your hand off for it. So I'll reserve judgment for it. Now we know we're going to come up against a tougher opposition.
Yeah, I mean, the second half performance worried me. That's thinking, well, we win it 1-0, we are top of the group. I'm not one of these. I wouldn't try and play tactically and lose. So we come second and then get another. Cause I think you're just going to go and play every game and try and win every game.
You've got to beat them eventually. We said this last
exactly.
Time. You've got to beat them eventually.
I mean, Germany. Well, let's just have a look here. And if I can get all my stuff working. Daniel just quickly says we need entertainment and performance. Let's be honest, it's been boring. Again, before I do what I was going to do. Sorry, Brad, carry on.
Yeah, I was going to say, it might have been boring, but again, if you said to me we're going to go into the knockouts, win 1-0, not concede, and continue not conceding, guess what? England are going to the final. If they don't concede goals, they're going to make a final, or at least get knocked out from penalties, which would be typical England, I guess, but I don't care. This is a tournament where you get one chance. To quote Eminem, you get one shot. This isn't a league table where boring football needs to change. This is a system where if it works and gets the results, I'm not going to complain.
I said, for me, as a neutral, if you'd watched our FA Cup final, it was 4th versus 3rd. We should have been like a classic game. I think from the neutral's point of view, it wasn't. It was a 1-0, but who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
People won't. If we win the final 1-0, and no disrespect, Daniel, obviously it's your opinion, and that first half I was actually getting quite excited. It's probably the most excited I've been about England in the tournament. But like I say, I'd take a 1-0 win rather than a 3-2 exciting loss. But excuse me. Right, let's just bring this in then. I mean, let's have a look where we are at the moment. I mean, look, 7 points, 3 played, 2 won, 1 drawn, lost 0, no goals against, +2 goal difference, won the group by 3 points. I could say, is there anything else we could have asked for?
A goal against Scotland would have been a perfect thing, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't think there's anybody. Is there anybody, Chris, genuinely anybody in this competition that has yet to concede? Is there anybody that's played anybody that hasn't at least conceded a goal? Even if they've won and got more points, like Italy might have. Italy have conceded, haven't they?
Italy. Yeah, Italy there haven't conceded.
So Italy, so we've got Italy and England so far. That's 2 teams.
Yeah. Sweden, but they've got a game to go. Yeah. So there's 3 teams, and Sweden could potentially concede in the next game.
Yeah. Oh no, haven't Italy already played their 3 games?
Yeah, Sweden haven't though. Sorry.
Yeah. So essentially, unless Sweden get a draw, get a 0-0 or win their game 1-0, that's 3 teams out of. I can't do the maths out of God knows how many. I'm useless when it comes to the groups and that. But
about 28 in it, I think.
About 20, 30 odd teams or whatever it is. Only 3, and that could potentially go down to 2, are going to go out that group stage without conceding a goal. I'm with you, Chris. I agree with what he's saying, and it was boring. It wasn't the prettiest. I nearly fell asleep in the second half. I'm not going to lie. But in a tournament basis, if this was a league format, I'd be on his side saying, well, it's not going to hold out forever, and we're eventually going to drop down the table. But guess what? This is a tournament. If you do this with one-off opponents against France, you do it one-off against Italy, you do it one-off against Belgium, and then suddenly you're at a final. I'm not going to complain too much.
No. Daniel does say there, as soon as we come up against a good team, we'll need to score more than 1 goal. Let's be honest, our defence has hardly been tested yet, which is a fair point. But let's have a look at who we could be playing. France, Germany, Portugal. Like I say, Hungary, they can still do it. They're not out.
Yeah,
it looks like, if we're honest, it looks like it's going to be France, Germany, Portugal. Now, Germany have. I mean, let's be honest with you. They lost the first game, and I don't think they were very good. They won the second game, and they looked absolutely brilliant against Portugal. Portugal have won 1, lost 1.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at the table without my nose being at the screen. That's all.
Sorry, don't wipe your nose on the screen. And France in their second game that they got the draw, I think it was against Hungary, wasn't it? It was against Hungary. I can see there. Again, they didn't look overly impressive. I'm not as worried as I was at the start when we stood, when we did our predictions and who we might get. Even if we get one of those 3, I'm not as worried as I was at the start.
Yeah. Now, I mean, what is the fixtures coming out from it? I'm guessing is it Portugal versus, I can't remember who it is. I feel like they've already played the games, and it's baffled me that group's still going on. I forget they've not all played. Is it Portugal, Hungary, and Germany, France? I don't know. I feel like
no, Germany. I think it's Germany, Hungary, isn't it? Let's have a look.
So I'm just looking at it and thinking that's not actually a dead cert, because we're talking about England and thinking who's going to come second. It's going to be one of them big 3, but there's still a chance, you would say, especially with Hungary getting a point against the World Cup champions France, that if they get a result, it's
Germany, Hungary, and Portugal, France. It took me a while, but Mrs. Google finally got her finger out.
If nothing else, Hungary could cause an upset and knock somebody out of that competition as well.
Well, if the Germany that turned up in the first game against France, Hungary, they need to win, obviously, so they're going to be going for it. But I think I can't see them, because I think if they've got to go for it, they'll leave the gaps. And if Germany, they can just hit them on the counter. So I can't see Hungary. In France, Portugal is going to be the interesting one. I can actually see, because Germany do it all the time, don't they? They start off badly,
and
then get stronger as you go through the tournament.
Well, they didn't last time, though, did they? They got knocked out of the group stages, didn't they?
Yeah. There was that one, but normally, normally. So I could actually see Germany topping that group and us actually possibly playing France.
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, if you really had to pick your way through the France, Germany, and Portugal side, and I'm not going to include Hungary in it, not because I don't think they can do it, because we've seen crazier things happen in football, but you're looking
like
at
North Macedonia getting knocked out.
Yeah, I know what a shot that was, right? Whoever predicts them needs hitting, because that was silly to say they'd go through.
Well said, Scott.
If yeah, it is now. It is. Come on, Hungary, get through. If you're looking at them three squads though, who we're predicting to be the team that comes second, I'm not necessarily saying that Hungary can't cause an upset and come third, but I don't think I think their game plan would be to try and get second or go up as high as they can in the group. They'll want to nick a 1-0 win and knock Portugal or whoever out of the tournament.
Yeah.
Because that'll still be a great accomplishment for them, and they're in the knockouts. But out of them three teams, if you broke down France, Germany, Portugal, all the way down to their depth, not just their starting 11, I would say you're probably hoping to get Portugal. But if you want to continue the feature of the tournament, we've already had the Battle of England versus Scotland. We all remember 2010, was it, World Cup, or was it 2014? I always forget my World Cups and Euros. Well, it was the one where the Germans beat us like 4-1 in the end, and that Lampard goal.
Oh, what was in Germany, was it? That was 20. I'm not sure. I think 2010 was South Africa. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I get so confused remembering them. I think it was 2010 where it happened. I could be wrong, but you would argue that Portugal would be the side that England would want to come up against if they want to have an easier opposition on paper, I guess. But you just got to look forward to it. Like a lot of fans and a lot of pundits come out and said, there's no, and I think even Southgate came out and said it, and said there's no point us trying to prepare for an easier game, and because if we're scared of these teams, we're not gonna win the tournament. And it's very true to say that. So
yeah, I want to say a thank you to Ankit, and check his channel out, RC Bain Chelsea Fan TV. It's a good channel. This is my favourite channel to end my day. Been saying it for weeks. Top stuff. Ankit, thank you very much, mate. That means a lot. I was worried what you're going to say then. It says it's your favourite channel to end it all. But no, that means really means a lot, Ankit. Thank you very much, and do check Ankit's channel out as well. RC Bain, there we go. Group E, they're playing tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Slovakia, Spain, Sweden, Poland. Again, you wouldn't have put them in that order, would you?
Not particularly, especially not Spain. Obviously, they play tomorrow. That could all change. I mean, our group success is at probably 50% all the way through the groups, mate. If we look back over our predictions, because it all came together for us in the end in the England group. I think we got the Croatia and England position the wrong way around, but they ended up where they are, and this one could be the same. But at the end of the day, with this third place playoff scenario or whatever it's called, it's annoying in a sense, and it's also good for the game because it gives countries like England, I guess, until today's result, like Spain, a bit more of a cushion, knowing that they can have a bad group, but as long as they pick up a win, they're probably going to go through. So Spain probably feeling less pressure than they normally would going into the last group game if they were sat third beforehand, because the expectation is there, but you've also got the mentor of knowing you can win the game. Like Czech Republic have gone through.
I mean, Daniel says there, what's the motivation for winning your group if you have to play the winners of another group? But I don't think they do, Daniel. The winners play the runners-up of another group. I was going to say to you, Brad, I mean, we knew going into this, and I mean, I don't like this, the best of the third places to get through. But it kind of took a bit of the edge off the game for me, thinking, well, we're through anyway.
I think it did, and it kind of reminded me of
2018 when everybody was doing pretty much what we was doing before the game was even kicked off today, where we was probably looking ahead at who we was drawing, and we ended up coming second, and everybody said, "Oh, that was very tactical to come second in that tournament." And obviously, people are now bemoaning that semi-final run-in was very easy for England, and I can see where them arguments come from. I'm probably a supporter of them that say that. And then you've got a tournament like this where you come into a game where the Czech Republic, probably a lot of people had voted them who did this sort of thing like we did, Chris, probably had Czech Republic to come last. Maybe that was because some people weirdly have an affection to say, oh, well, if we don't go through, we want the home nations to go through. Absolute load of tosh. Don't believe it for a second. Don't understand it. But that's people's opinion. We were one of the very few that probably put Scotland bottom and had them go through, and it kind of balances it out. I get that it kind of, in one sense, it gives teams in that position going into the final group stage a better chance to maybe rest on the laurels. England didn't even need to bother today. They could have got battered 6-0 and put out the under 18. Wouldn't have changed things they were going through. But on the other hand, with the Czech Republic, with the way Denmark went through in their last game, I believe that put them through in the way, which thank God for that. They deserve that for the tournament they've had. They deserve to get some success out of it and not go out.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
But again, we're talking about the next group, the group of death. Whilst it might not affect England directly, Hungary still have a chance to upset the odds in their group. North Macedonia bottled it, but less said about them, the better. But other teams, it also gives these lesser nations, in the most respect to them, in terms of quality, not that they're lesser in any way as a nation, but it gives them a chance to progress, because sometimes we've had years.
But then should they not just have it where, let's just say the top three go through, rearrange the groups?
You probably could. You could probably do it a different way. There is definitely ways to do it. And it probably will change down the years. This is something that we kind of chop and change quite a lot. And I think you're right. Maybe we'll make these groups of 5 instead and do it that way. Or maybe we extend the tournament branch and have third place. You're always going to see pros and cons to whatever idea comes up. And that's the issue you've got. But I understand why there is a best of the third, because let's face it, if Scotland had somehow come third in our group on a point and gone through, you'd have felt a bit like, really? They get to stay in the tournament for one poxy draw? They don't deserve it? Swings and roundabouts. It's trying to find that medium, and it's something they'll work on. But this one, it's a starting block for how they go about it, definitely.
Well, I want to come back to the game in a minute, but I do want to ask you, I don't know if it's me or whether it's just been the sort of the year that we've had with football, but it doesn't it's got no excitement about it at the moment for me. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's down to the performances. I don't know if it's down to the fact that we're in one country for this game, one country for that game, but I can't get a buzz about it.
That's understandable. Because I'll be honest with you, I've not really geared myself up for the Euros. I made a few statements on Facebook over the years saying that this is why I don't really get interested in England until they get to the quarter-final stages. It's probably
like I said this year, I wasn't going to cover the Euros, and here we are. It drags you in.
But we're doing this for a different reason, aren't we? We're not doing this maybe because it's the most easiest thing to do, and it's not something that we're as passionate about when it comes to Leicester. This is a channel that's predominantly for Leicester City fans and its channel, but it's something that you can't escape when you do something like this on YouTube. You can't escape doing football things, especially when at the end of the day it is still our country. And whether I feel it, whether I truly believe it or not, or whether I'm that into the whole tournament as a whole, I still want my nation, which is England, to go as far as possible in it. And I guess maybe fans are just exhausted, like that emotional stress and relief of fans in the ground, and we're so used to not having fans in the ground, and even though we've got them in, it's not to full capacity. And in a tournament like this, you do miss it. We spoke after our FA Cup game and when the crowds were in, and even after the one where it was only a couple of thousand in the Southampton in the semi-finals and the last games of the season. A lot of fans were said how much it just felt better having them fans in. The problem is now we've kind of got into it, and like we was talking about these, I don't like the term, but lesser nations. There's a lot of fixtures where a lot of games that nobody gives a monkeys about. Nobody gives a rat's arse about Ukraine, Poland, and bloody Macedonia. I keep mentioning them just to hopefully draw it out of the jokes. But, these teams are playing each other. And unfortunately, unless they're a nation, they're not getting gripped by football fans to watch. I've been told by many people that a lot of games have been dull and drab. And the problem is you get overexcited. You could be out next Tuesday. And then nobody's going to care from a British point of view about the tournament unless Wales go through, and then we still won't care. It'll only be Wales that care about it, and that's just a problem with a tournament. I think, given the fact that there's been a world crisis, people, even though they're using it, and they are using it, the government are using it tactically to try and prove that we are coming to an end with the coronavirus, which that's how they want to do it. I'm all for it, but I also feel that people are thinking, should we really be doing it? Should we really be having any tournaments at all, full stop?
You might just want to move your head a little bit, Brad, because the light behind you is giving you a Jesus look-alike.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my head in a position to shadow it out. It's doing my head in. But
I get what you're saying, but back to the match. Grealish started, and at first half, I mean, he looked good. I mean, I saw him being interviewed before the game, and it's funny because we hate these players when they're playing against us for Villa or whatever, but when they put the England shirt on, it's kind of, come on, Jack, and that's a foul against Jack and what have you. Yeah. But I thought he had a very good game.
Yeah, well, that's because he did something that we haven't really seen a lot of over the last two games, and that is a player running forward. In stark comparison to one person that really annoyed me when it came to an attacking sense. Nothing that he did defensively, but Kyle Walker. He bought the pants off me going for it. It's like, when you sort of get them players, and Leicester fans will know we've had certain players that when they get the ball, you just put your head in your hands and go, great, that's the attack killed. It's not going to go anywhere. Every time I'm trying to get my head out of the way, so bloody light's not shining on it. Every time Walker got the ball, went forward, he pissed around with it. And he annoyed me. It was refreshing to see someone get that ball and just go in one way. I'm not going to say direction because you'll accuse me of liking a boy band. I say one direction too many times.
No, just glad to see you've moved on from steps. For me, 5, 6, 7, 8. For me, I'm going to be honest with you, he was my man of the match.
Yeah, he was. He was exciting to watch, and again, he pressed the game in the way that the fans wanted to see, which was attack, and go at them. And he got the assist, and it kind of rings true what England fans were asking. They wanted Jack Grealish on for that reason. And you're right in what you say. It's funny how we sit here and when he's playing for Villa and falling all over the place, we hate him. But when he's doing it for the nations, we're egging him on to do it. But I suppose that's because it's the only time any fans around the world, if they're of that nation that he plays for, you come together as a collective. Don't like him diving for Villa. Don't like him diving in general, if I'm being perfect honest. I don't like anybody that dives and simulates and goes down as easy as some of these guys do. But if he's going to get away with it at any point, make sure it's only for England and book him every time he does it for Villa. I'm happy with it. If I'm going to pick me Jack Grealish moments, get booked for Villa and let him off for England, fine.
Just a few comments here. Anke, the Turkey-Switzerland game had like 40 shots. Yeah, I mean, you do enjoy those games, don't you? Scott saying here, be more interested when we've got some Leicester players in. Of course we would. But then again, I'm just thinking,
We've got Leicester players in the tournament.
We have. And I was just about to say that. I mean, I'm thinking for England, and I'm glad that sort of maybe Barnes and Maddison didn't quite make it. gives them that time. But of course, we have had players in. So, and we'll come on to those in a second. But just saying, the man of the match there, just pipping Grealish by 0.3 was Bukayo Saka.
You know what? I was about to say, if Jack Grealish doesn't get it, Saka has to be a close second. He was impressive. I'm not going to lie. You know, and again, you can read so much into team form, i.e., him being at Arsenal. But you know, sometimes you don't see the dog work, and we know a few Arsenal fans. You know, the unfortunate souls have at least got decent friends in me and you, mate. So they can talk like decent clubs. But you know, sometimes there's always a shining light in these horrible mid-table sides like Arsenal, and he was one of them. And he proved it today that he was worth getting selected to take him by Southgate. And hopefully, over time, that if we can go further in this tournament, we'll get to see more of that from the likes of Sancho and Jude Bellingham, proving why they got selected.
I said I wanted to talk about two players. Grealish was one of them. Kane was the other one that I wanted to talk about. And I know, you know, there is that argument, isn't there? Like, you've got to keep these players on because otherwise, you know, some of these players can just sort of do one moment of magic and turn the game for you. But he's just bringing nothing to the party at the moment, is he, Kane?
No, and I think a lot of it. Well, I think the entirety of England that are completely divided as who's to blame, because he's got me questioning, you know, all these achievements and accolades in terms of goal scoring that Kane's done. He's had the service of one man, or well, at some points in his career, probably two players, and that's Heung-min Son and Christian Eriksen. And I've never seen a striker who, let's remember, whether he scored 75 goals against Panama FC or not, got the golden boot in the last major tournament. And I'm just starting to think that maybe the England coaching staff have seen that Harry Kane is either not getting the service and they need to change something, or Harry Kane isn't as good at international level as he is at the Premiership. And I don't know which one it is. I honestly don't know. Is it because we're not getting him the service and he hasn't got the quality, consistency of Eriksen and Son, which he's used to playing, which he was until Eriksen obviously left. But he has been used to season in, season out over a 30 or 40 game season? Or is it the fact that he's just not that type of striker that does it at an international circuit? Because his goals for England really are masked by the quality of opposition he's played.
I mean, he got the golden boot in the World Cup. I think he got, was it 4 against?
97 of them against Panama, mate.
Yeah, that was it. Yes, yeah. I mean, I'm going
to turn my phone.
Did he get the service tonight? I mean, you know, Grealish, he was. I thought he was playing central. I mean, I know he got the cross in for the goal, but who was providing the service to Kane tonight?
Well, that's the thing. Everybody seems to think you have to get the ball out wide and cross it in to get anything from Kane. But I'm pretty sure Kane's got a very good, if not a vast majority of his goals at his feet.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems to score every time he plays against us. And I remember him scoring quite a lot of goals where he's been at the feet, the ball's being played through to him, he's muscled through defenders and scored. So I don't understand how he's not getting the service as some people claim, because we're playing through the middle and we're crossing balls into the box. Why is he not there? Sterling's 5'3" and scored the goal, which was a header. Where was Kane? Because the next person nearest Sterling was Saka, who's even smaller, I think, than Sterling. So that today, what I have seen and what I've been reserved and biting my tongue.
Oh, and we have lost Brad there. I'm sure he'll come back. So let's just have a look. Scott, Kane has played better as more of an assist player this season, and he's not a counter-attacking kind of striker. Seems to have lost the pace, not that he had much. Ankit, my gut says he'd play Mount as a false nine and gave Kane a rest in the quarterfinal if they get through the round of 16, because he'd be pressured to play Grealish and the others then. I just sometimes do wonder, and we'll just bring the table back up there again so we can have a nice moment. Is Reece James better? Oh, well, welcome, Brad. I think Brad's back now. Brad, good evening.
Hello, mate. Literally, my stream, I just went, shut up, Brad. Stop talking. Chris, get that 5-minute timer back up because he's waffling. It must have been the reason he put me off.
Hey, don't tempt me, mate. Don't tempt me. Just saying there. Well, I forgot what we were saying now. Bronze Plumber, good evening. Kane internationally low in his value to help this game from Spurs. Well, I did suggest that against Scotland, actually, that nobody'd want to buy him. Ankit saying he said a couple of times, Reece James would be perfect for Kane up front. Could you believe, though, because I couldn't believe that he was making these substitutions and that Kane was staying on?
No, I can't. Honestly, I can't. And before StreamYard rudely cut me off because I must have gone past the bells, the timer of allotted speaking time.
Yeah.
Kane just, to me, today just proved that either Southgate's not going to give him the service, which I don't see how he's not doing that by putting Grealish on. Everybody was asking for Jack Grealish for two reasons, right? Attacking to show the intent going forward, to keep us moving forward, and to be another forward man for Kane, to get the ball to him. Kane was in the middle of the park, in our box, and I don't get it. I get that he scored a lot of goals, and he's maybe one of them. You know, we had a debate recently. Go and check out our channel and see if you can find out which one it was. We've done some wars where we discussed it on a different basis. But Kane, for me, could be one of them players that his international record is masked by who he scores against and in what what's the word I'm looking for? In what relevance he's scoring against them. Like, no point to me. There's no point saying people coming on here saying, "Oh, he scored against Germany, France, and if they're in friendlies." Shove your friendlies so far up your arse. They mean nothing to me. They interrupt my football. They interrupt the football I care the most about, which is the league. I'd rather not have friendlies and stack them up all together. But that's a whole different video and a whole different rant. My point is, I think Kane is suited to the league format where he can get his confidence, he can get his partnership flowing. Because I think, didn't Kane go like 8 or 9 games at the start of the season before he actually had a goal in the Premiership? Not scored for England in the whole of 3 games. Not even looked like scoring. That's vodka.
That's a steamed up bottle. Just looking at, I mean, Kane, he was on 90 minutes, and I'm going off the BBC site here, so it's what English fans have voted for. Rashford was bottom with 4.61, but then again, he didn't actually get much of a game, did he? Kane was on 4.73. But he was being beaten by Sancho, Rice, Mings. There were substitutes, Henderson, Bellingham, Shaw. All these substitutes that had come on were voted to have played better than Kane, our captain, who had 90 minutes.
I would have honestly rated the bench higher than Kane, the players that didn't come on, because
the wooden bench.
Well, yeah. Honestly, can someone tell me how many times Kane either touched the ball or was mentioned to be on the ball? Because the only time I ever think I saw it, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? The quality of refs in this tournament. How many free kicks would Kane have got for Spurs? If that was Spurs' game, how many free kicks would he have got falling down like an arse like he did tonight? Which is the only thing he did. That was the only time he was ever mentioned. Yet these European refs are telling them, stand up, be a man, you're getting paid enough money to play the game. Stop being an absolute swat just because you felt your shirt get a gust of wind on it.
Yes.
Kane, for me, has been found out at international level. And that was the long and short of my whole point with Kane and international and seasonal football.
Yeah. Now, I want to come on to the other teams in the group. And I actually want to come on to one team in particular. I mean, I can remember, I think it was a World Cup that was in America. And it wasn't even a home nation that qualified. It was the Republic of Ireland. But if you believe, the BBC and ITV, they were part of the United Kingdom, and we should all get behind them because they had Jack Charlton as manager. I'm sorry, I'm not one of those. It's like Manchester. I said to Manchester United, well, if you're not going to win it, do you want Man City to win it? Of course they bloody don't. Do I want Scotland to do well? No, I'll pick them to come bottom. Not because I think necessarily they're the worst team, because I don't like Scotland. I mean, for me, rebuild Hadrian's Wall, get them all up there, give them their independence, and get rid of them. I just don't. And I have to say, ha ha ha, look where Scotland are now. They are bottom of the group, and deservedly so. And what gets me is Martin somebody or another who was in line of duty. He's a big Scots fan, and it kind of sums up the Scots fans. And I'm not saying anything that I didn't say to the Scots fan I was in the chat with earlier. You were celebrating that 0-0 like you'd won the bloody World Cup.
No,
what other team? What team that is any good? And Scotland fans believe that their team are good, but what team that is any good would celebrate a 0-0 win? I mean, I get that, if you like Panama or El Salvador, San Marino, they get a 0-0 against one of the top, 10, 20 teams in FIFA. Yes, they'd be happy. But, they were celebrating. And how did that go for you, Scotland fans? Where are you now? You've gone home. I mean, it's just, for my mind, it's a joke. If a 0-0 is the most thing you can actually celebrate, then you're pretty sad as a football nation.
Yeah, I can just imagine it now. Grandad, where were we in the Euros of 2020? I remember it well. We had a 0-0 draw with England. Oh, how far did we go? Well, that was it. We were shite afterwards and before it. But apart from that, we drew 0-0 with the English. Yeah, fucking boy. Don't care. It's like when we went out bottom of the group and we lost to Italy and we got that draw against... who did we draw against in that group when we came bottom and got a point in the last game?
Oh, Costa Rica.
That was embarrassing. I weren't cheering a draw. No. I weren't watching. I was barely watching the game because we were out at that point. But I was like, this is embarrassing. And nothing changed my opinion on it because it was even worse in that game if it could have been. And we found a way to be worse than that. If I was Scottish, I would be so annoyed. I'd have been annoyed at the Czech Republic result, let alone the England result. Because the Czech Republic result was only technically, the England-Scotland result was obviously only a win in one of the nation's eyes. And it's the one that finished the group top and went through.
I mean, I think, and this kind of sums Scottish football up, and I banter with Scottish fans because I know a few Scottish fans, and we've got a Scottish fan coming on a show on Friday, so that could be interesting. He might not come on now, of course, but I think Scotland were up for the England game, and Scotland were probably, if I'm honest, overall the better team. But that's because it meant more to Scotland, to England. It was almost like swatting a fly, or you just bloody annoying us, get away sort of thing. But for Scotland, it was like there were, the fly landing on the big pile of shite. Oh, this is exciting, Yeah, it just doesn't mean as much to England, I don't think.
I think you could be right on that one. I think they're more like that annoying little brother that bugs you and annoys you and thinks he's better than you because your mum and dad tell him to let him do well every so often, and then he gets his high horse about it and thinks he's going to beat you every time, and then cries and goes back home and inside when they lose again. And it just, to me, I wasn't even that Like, I didn't want to lose to Scotland. Don't get me wrong. And I was frustrated that we couldn't beat Scotland, but I wasn't arsed by the draw because we did a post match after that, mate, and we were saying, well, hopefully we win against the Czech Republic. And it doesn't matter, but England are probably already through before a ball was kicked, and that turned out to be right. So I don't get it. I'm with you. I don't get why the Scotlands were all hyped. Look, I've got Scottish mates, and I have a laugh with them. And this isn't not a dig at anyone in a person. It's a dig at how a majority of that country is. It's like, oh, they were like, get it up. Yeah. You've got 1 point. We've got 4. Yeah, get it up us. Yeah, you've showed us. How have you finished your group? Because we've got 7 points. You've got 1. Great. Well done.
Yeah. Why, does anybody know why Scotland haven't got a blue line next to them? Because the other 3 teams have. Why haven't Scotland?
I can't. Mystery.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that's happened. Martin Compston, that's the guy. If you're on YouTube or you've been on social media, just look at him celebrating the 0-0. Martin Compston, hashtag get a life, man. Get a life, because that look, where are you now? I mean, you couldn't even finish third. You couldn't even get one of the lucky third draws, but there we go. No, have we taken the piss out of Scotland enough yet?
No, let's keep going.
No, and it was quite funny because in the chat earlier, it was me and Dan were watching the England game, and they had Connor who Yank talking smack, and I'm just going to say that because it's the only time I can get away with saying smack on here. But I love the name. He's American, but he is like over half Scottish, and he was watching the Scotland-Croatia game, and it was like, every time Croatia scored, he was like, oh, and we were like, yeah, brilliant.
See, now this is why I couldn't do watch-alongs, because if I was watching a Leicester game and we got a bit of a turnover, I'd be leaving the studio, mate. I couldn't act it.
I mean, he did seem to think that Scotland missed out because they had 1 player out, and he said that, Scott. He said had they had Billy Gilmore, they could have probably beat Croatia.
I'm sorry, but if you're pinning all your hopes on what, a 19-year-old, then you don't deserve to go through in a tournament, mate. You don't deserve to go through in a tournament. If you are seriously telling me the only reason Scotland lost was because of Gilmore, then your other 10 players need to have a word of themselves and sort their lives out if they think they're good enough to go anywhere in a tournament. 1 player, you're really saying 1 player was the reason you couldn't go through? Have a word? No, not a chance.
No.
If that's all that Scotland have got to offer, then they need to book their ideas up for the next tournament.
We mentioned it before. We did. We mentioned it before about Leicester players, and I do find it kind of hard to support any other team just because there's a Leicester player in there. But let's have a look at 3 Leicester players. I mean, first of all, we've got to send our best wishes to Timothy Castagna, and yes. I mean that looks about another centimetre or 2, and it could have been a lot worse.
Yes, definitely.
But I think it's never good when these sort of things happen. But he should be back for the start of the season, even if it is looking like the Lone Ranger with a mask on. But
positives and all that. He can still play football, and then he'll be back for Leicester.
Yeah, so I mean, and when you look at what happened to sort of Ericsson, he wasn't as bad, and it's good news that Ericsson's all right as well, of course. But looking at Turkey and Soyuncu, I remember because they played in the first game, I think Turkey, didn't they? They played the opening game, and they had Alan Shearer saying like, "Oh, Turkey were my dark horses." I think Alan Shearer, Turkey are your McDonald's horses because they have been barbecued, fried, and they had it. I mean, were you surprised? I mean, Soyuncu did not look good at all in the games that I saw him in.
No, I was a little bit surprised. I expected them to at least be worst case third. I think when we picked the group, I said we had them sneaking in at third. I certainly didn't expect them to be getting. I can't see the points tally there. They get 0 points.
Yeah, 0 points.
Yeah.
They played 3, lost 3, 1 goal
Yeah.
for, 8 against, -7, no points.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we've not lost any big names from the tournament yet, so to speak. And obviously, if something happens in that group of death, you could argue that there'd be more of an upset. But I think the reason they were tipped as some people's dark horses, and they were my outsiders to a dark horse, less of a dark horse, more of an outsider, because I didn't read that from Scott.
He's just saying, chill, Brad. I'm English, I swear, but I can guarantee that's what they will mention. And it's probably
they
will.
Scott,
yeah.
I didn't mean that to sound like it was direct at you, mate. I meant towards.
I don't think I didn't take it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Scott. I didn't mean to confuse you. It wasn't you, mate. It was another mate that. But yeah, again, it wasn't one of them where we were thinking they were going to win the group, come second, and take it by storm. But there was a lot of people. You look at some of them players, for instance, Kaglas Oyuncu, and in that Turkish side, that you probably expected them to at least get to the knockout stages. I think they're one of the most underwhelming sides, if not the underwhelming side of the tournament so far in terms of expectation. And given the group they were in, they should have easily got out of that group, and like I said, very, very, very unsatisfied by how they did in the group, and to not pick up a point from that group is very baffling. Very.
I think it was. I expected them to do a lot better, to be honest with you. As Ankit then said, Cengiz Under again, flatter to deceive. Great, and this is what I think it was Ankit that actually asked me about Cengiz Under, and I said to he had a lot of promise, but a bit like a bad postman. Looked like he was doing a good job but couldn't deliver. And I think that he was no different. And watching him, I'm kind of thinking like, and we were both fans of his when he first came, but I'm thinking like, yeah. I'm glad we didn't sign him.
Yeah, and look, we've learned over the years as a collective of Leicester fans to probably give a bit more faith in our managers and scouting chief decisions to either take these sort of players on, whether it's a Ryan Bennett or a Cengiz Under, or it's a Wilfred Ndidi and a James Justin being signed for patents. So we knew a bit about Under. We knew he could frustrate at times, but we knew he has that potential. And I think he's one of them players that maybe in 3 or 4 years' time, he will have found his feet. I hope he doesn't become a Damari Gray, where he just seems to have it in him, but doesn't always perform to that level. And he is somewhere that finds maybe a level or a country or a club that plays his football and goes for the strength that he has the potential to do. But again, another one that again turned up to a tournament and just would look devoid of confidence, which you could argue was expected when he came here, really keen to impress, not just to any Tom, Dick and Harry over in England, but to impress with the club he was at. And unfortunately, it hasn't worked out for him. In this tournament, unfortunately, he's done neither of them any favours. It's probably begged the question that Soyuncu definitely needs an Evans or a Fofana next to him, otherwise he's not as good as he is if he's not got a wise head next to him.
And talking about other Leicester players here, and I wish I had brought my buzzer along sometimes, but bringing along, it's as I've put there, Master against Apprentice in the next round, Casper against Ward, Danny there, but who will come out on top? I mean, it's not often you get that, is it? And I have to be honest with you, I did ask the question in the group earlier, and I got shot down a little bit, but I did sort of kind of suggest, was it time for Schmeichel to maybe go and Danny to come on, because we've got a history of that. We've got a history. You know, we sold Gordon Banks when he was England goalkeeper because Peter Shilton wanted regular football. You know, Peter Shilton moved on because of Mark Wallington. And here we've got Danny Ward, who is, you know, playing absolutely brilliant for Wales in the Euros. Probably played, how many games did he play? 5, 6 for us last season?
I don't think he played that last season. I think he's probably played 5, 6 in total since his move. But that's his job and his role. And unfortunately, whilst I understand your comparisons, and I saw that tweet and put that onto you, there's no way Casper's leaving. There's no way they want to move him on. There's no way Casper wants to move. He's like his father in the sense that he has taken Leicester into his heart. We saw that with the tragedy of the owners. He wanted to dive into the bloody fire, bless him, to try and save lives. He feels loved and appreciated by this club, and I have seen it personally from working there, and I've seen what it is. I am happy for Kasper Schmeichel to be our number one, maybe in the next season or two, loan Danny Ward out, and then hear me out on why. The reason I say loan him out is get him as playing for a season, have someone from the youth take up the bench role and play for the under-23s and just be there, because it's very rarely you see a keeper get injured and have to come in. And maybe when Casper's 34, or if the form starts to dip, that's when we look to change over the keepers. I can't see Schmeichel leaving unless he suddenly decides he doesn't want to play for Leicester anymore.
Goalkeepers do tend to sort of stay longer than outfield players. We know that.
Yeah.
34 Casper, 28 Ward. We paid 12 million for him. I mean, you know, next season we're obviously going to be playing on 4 fronts, so we're going to have more games. But then, in fairness, we did this season. You know, we seem to have. We've got, is it Iverson, and he's probably going out on loan again. But you know, we've got him that is supposedly a fantastic goalkeeper, and that's why we're not selling him. We're just sending him out on loan. We've also still got Jupokovic.
Well, that's not really any
I mean,
concern.
he's sort of understudy to Danny Ward. He's the understudy's understudy, isn't he? But you know, Danny Ward's never let us down when he's come on, has he?
No, he's not. And look, like you said, goalkeepers have an extended shelf life out on the field than they do compared to the outfield players. And in 2 years' time, Schmeichel's 36, Danny Ward will only be 30. And if you're saying by that point you're expecting, and of course there's been keepers that have proven it wrong, but you're expecting by about 36 that the ability and the athleticism might have dropped to Casper, and then we might be talking about Danny Ward gets more and more game time, and then he eventually takes over the number one slot. If he does that at 30, 31, that's still 3 or 4 years minimum you're expecting him to be number one. And then by that time, Iverson, or however you say his name, will be in his mid-20s.
Yeah.
And that just holds for the future.
I guess it really depends, coming back from this competition, what Danny wants to do. If Danny does want regular football, Scott said there that, you know, Casper should play Premier League and Danny the rest, but it didn't happen this season. But we will see.
I have got a tweak on that, and I mean quickly, right? You can put a minute time if you want. I understand that people might suggest that we use Danny Ward in the cup games, but for the first time in God knows how long, Leicester went with their number one choice for 98% of the season in all competitions. We came 5th and won an FA Cup because we had our number one in goal for the FA Cup. I think Danny Ward only played in the Carabao Cup. I could be wrong on that. I honestly, he's played that little. I don't even think he featured for us in the competition.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
Yeah, there's a buzzer. I've been told by Cammy.
He's just commenting on your comment. I love this. I'd have forgotten I'd got this, but I am going to be using this so much in all my chats now when people say things.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
It's got to be. Look, we're going to be back in 1 second. We're coming up to the hour, so we're going to be closing it down. But we're going to go out with the big question, which will be coming up after this.
It's the Euros 2020 with Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV.
Defeated. I could just listen to that. It's so relaxing. Going to end up with this question, Brad, because it is the big one. If England get knocked out in the next round because we draw France or Portugal or Germany, we're going to get one of them, and we go out, is it the end for Southgate? And if it is the end for Southgate, I don't want him to go, but if it is the end for Southgate, who the hell would we replace him with?
I think people will want him out. Let's face it, people will want him out because it's a more poisoned chalice to take the England job. As much as we prefer to love our nation, no matter who's the manager, we've always had a bone to pick with him over whatever he's done, whether it's team selections, tactics, you name it. If he goes out to France, possibly Germany, and it's a close game and they've gone hammer and tongue, it'll bide him a bit of time. I don't think the FA will pull the trigger on him regardless because of what you've just stated. Who's available? Spurs are like, got 17 applicants for their manager's job and they're down looking over parks and 5-a-side tournaments to try and find their next manager. By the way, they've going through.
I think Spurs will be able to find where Wally is a lot easier than find the new manager.
Yeah, definitely this rate, and that stretch. You make a very good point by saying that because if Southgate does go, they're not going to be able to bring in anyone in. I mean, no, not Frank Lampard. No. Shouldn't be done at club level. 1 in 100 works when a player goes straight into management after retirement. Please don't make Frank Lampard.
Bronze. Who you're saying there? Please let the Queen trick him into a knighthood and slip with the sword. Who, like we're saying, who do we replace him with? I'm going to throw some names at you, Brad, because these are ones that have come up. Scott went with Frank there, and I think you're right, totally right there. The name that was, and like I say, let me just state this now, is that I am a Southgate fan. International football is about, it's tournaments. It's not one-off games. And, he has taken us further than any manager, English or foreign, since Bobby Robson. And what had Bobby Robson done? He'd gone all over Europe. He was assistant to Jose Mourinho. He managed Barcelona. He'd got the experience. Southgate, he's got the playing experience. When they went through that penalty shootout against Colombia, he could relate to them. He could talk to them because he'd done it. He knew what it was all about.
He'd missed one himself, so he knew
exactly. If any of them get a pizza advert, he knows how that goes. And so these names were coming about. So the only real British name that seemed to be sort of coming up on the pile was Eddie Howe. Now, what has Eddie Howe done? Are you telling me that Harry Kane would go in there and go, yeah, boss, I respect you because of what you've done? What has he done?
It's a bit harsh to say would he go out and say respect him. I think Kane's got that sort of personality that they should.
I'm not just saying Kane. I'm using him as an example.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I get it. But anybody, and I don't like it when players say, "Oh, well, he wouldn't get respect for the job." To a degree, that's right if they haven't got the experience. And the thing is, I agree with you. Eddie Howe just hasn't got it. He was at a peak, at a height when he was Bournemouth manager. He was getting linked with the England job. Back then, he was getting linked with bigger jobs than Bournemouth. No disrespect to Bournemouth, but I mean in terms of caliber of Premier League, longevity, more than on the club itself. And since then, he's been out of a job. He's ditched Celtic, which, that's not happening. He can't nail terms down at Celtic, and he's kind of disappeared into the background without a trace. So, for me, Eddie Howe cannot be a contention for the next England manager until he's back in managing. Yeah,
for me, until he's won something, because all he's done, and don't get me wrong, taking Bournemouth from, the fourth tier to the top tier, with all the troubles that they had with the points deductions and they were going into administration, is something. But it is not taking the top England players and playing them in a tournament, and winning the World Cup. The one name that was coming up because he's out of a job, he's turned Tottenham down, is, and you've not come back to me, Bronze, with the names. Not having a dig, Bronze, but if we're saying somebody's going, give me a replacement. Conte, but we're going down the foreign manager.
Yeah, but he's also got that drive. He's got that ambition and passion, and he has worked in this country. So he's not. The problem we had with a lot of foreign managers that came here is that they didn't have a goat's clue to do what England. They didn't have a clue. They had arrogance to not learn the language. A lot of them brought in interpreters, and I find that very arrogant. If you're coming here to manage a club, and you can't be asked to try and learn the lingo. And same for English players and managers that go abroad. If you can't be asked to learn their culture and their language, and at least be able to at least I can forgive it whilst they're learning to not do interviews and have interpreters. But if you're coming to manage a national side, more importantly, you should be able to speak the lingo and speak to your players. I don't want to see this on a training ground pitch. The manager, he say, do this, do that. No, piss off. Communicate. You would not have Gareth Southgate go and manage the Italian national side and him going there going, and then the Italian bloke having to translate to his Italian players, because I tell you what, them players will turn around and go, the fuck am I listening to this guy for if he can't even bother to learn our culture and language? Respect is earned, not given. I'm not a racist. This is me saying universal. It'd be if I was Spanish and we were having this argument, I'd be saying exactly the same. These managers, at least Conte has the language to a point and can translate.
And Sven, we must remember, Sven, in fairness, had the language.
Exactly.
And I have to be honest with you, those years under Sven, people knock it. We got to 2 quarterfinals, which was as good as we'd ever got since '66. So Sven is actually, apart from Big Sam, who's got 100% record, Sven was one of our best managers. Bronze, I apologise. Bronze did type up a very long answer, so he was typing away, and he did say give him a chance. So Bronze, I apologise. Give me a chance. Can we everybody please get the tin helmets on? Brad, you may want to put on that Jack Daniels thing on your head, because I think you might just be nutting the wall with Bronze's suggestion, which is basically Big Sam.
Bronze, mate. This is just this here is just for you, not the pajama bottoms. They're just.
I wondered where that was going then. I thought I'm going to have to take you out of the chat. I can see them pajama bottoms coming off.
Well, yeah, that would have been for a whole different video.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I see where you're coming from, Bronze. The players are highly skilled. We don't need a coach. We need someone to pull them, shape them together for a tournament. I mean, I think as an England, for me, and I could be talking, we're going to play 4-4-2 or whatever. He should be the manager.
Mike Bassett, yeah.
Mike Bassett, that's it. Yeah. We are going to play 4-4-2. But to me, a manager has to decide what formation he's going to play as England manager, because he's taking players from, let's say, 10 teams, around the world, and each of those players are probably playing in at least 3 different formations, because Man United players will play a different formation to Tottenham players. Rashford will be playing differently to the way Kane does. Vardy didn't play the same as how Kane does. So you've got all these different. So to me, an England manager needs to pick his formation and it says, right, which players, round pegs in round holes, will work. I'm not going to take as good as that player is. That player cannot play in the formation I'm picking, and as such, I'm not going to take him. However good he is for his club, I'm playing this formation, and I'm going to take the player. And then, as Bron said, you've got a lot of training to do, because those players just fit into that position, and all you've got to do is literally just having practice games. Or am I being too simplistic there?
No, you're actually probably hitting the nail spot on. If at the start of the season,
I should be England manager, you see.
Yeah, you do look like Mark Bassett.
I am available, FA. I am available.
But it does make sense. I mean, everybody argues, he doesn't pick on form, and that's said to every England manager, because we all support different clubs, funny enough. We all think players are better than what other people think. But you are actually spot on, and people might come out and say, "Well, that's not fair," because then people are hoping that their team's playing in a certain role. Well, that's where you learn to develop yourself as a player. Because if you're saying, let's say it's 4-3-3, right? Say it's 4-3-3. We got no left midfield, right midfielder, and Harvey Barnes is told, right, that's how we're going to play. England, we're going to play 4-3-3, and I'm just going to use Harvey Barnes because, funny enough, he's a player I know a lot about, being since he plays for Leicester, like you do, mate.
Yeah.
Right, and he gets told, right, left winger, right winger, we've only got one way to play, and I don't know, Brendan Rodgers prefers to have him as a number 10 because that's how Brendan Rodgers gets the best out of him. And then Harvey Barnes has the choice. Right, let's just say, no matter, like you said, that's the attitude that's taken. If you don't play in a position, you either have to adapt your game to have 2 or 3 roles, which players are told to do and expected to do in this generation of football, because football's evolved just like everything else has. If Harvey Barnes doesn't try and develop his game to suit a national formation for a tournament, then he's not going to get picked.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you've got to, what would be the point in us taking the 11 best England players and then playing 4 of them in the position they know how to play? What's the point in putting Harry Kane up front if you're going to play, if Harry Kane is successful in a 2-striker formation, for example, and then all of a sudden you take his strike partner away from him, this is why he won't succeed at the international level or do as well as he does at club level, because exactly like you said, he is used to playing in a one-man strike, being a lone striker or being in a partnership. Yeah. However you flip the roles, he's not going to live up to them. And people are saying Sancho plays, Bellingham plays. There's a reason these players aren't starting games, is because we've got so many players in a position of regularity that you can't get them all on the pitch, and they're not suiting our style of play. We're clearly going with 2 central defensive midfielders. Well, sorry, that means somebody has to miss out of that starting 11 who's an attacking force.
I just want to say we actually have got I didn't know whether we were actually going to get a Scottish fan on tonight because of what happened, but I'm pleased to say that we've got a Scottish fan and we can get him in here. There we go. There he is.
Going off into the bushes.
Exactly. Bye. Go and hide. So
it was like the ending of the Sooty show, wasn't it? Do you remember that?
Here's his mate. Here's his mate. This is what we're doing to Scotland fans at the moment.
That's me when I have. That's me when I have a shave, mate.
That's you when you go in North Macedonia, which I haven't got. I have still got it, but I haven't uploaded it. But if you want me to. So last question, and I shouldn't really be asking you for predictions with your history of North Macedonia, but who do you want to? I mean, let's say Hungary aren't going to do it, because I know you really did argue the point with North Macedonia, but Hungary going to do this? No, they're really, really not, are they? So, let's have a look. It's going to be France, Germany, Portugal. We're going to play the second place. Who do you want to play? 2-word answers. Who do you want to play, and who do you think will play?
I want us to play Portugal. I think we'll play Germany.
Avoiding France, not. Although, do we then get France in the next? I can't remember how it works out, to be honest with you. But yes,
I don't think it's possible for us to get France in the next round.
Not in the next one, no. But I didn't know how soon we got them in the tournament. Brad, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead on your quickest ever answer. So thank you very kindly. Scott agrees with you, actually. Fancy Portugal next round. But he thinks we'll get France. But there we go. Brad, thank you very much, young man. It's been a pleasure as always, and in a better mood than the last time after we played Scotland.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely, mate. Thank you very much. And
I'm going to shoot
hopefully
up as well. Just so you know, I'm going to have to do some food. I haven't eaten all day properly. So
I haven't eaten since lunchtime. I know the feeling. Will we see you next Tuesday for the post-match game, whoever it is we're playing?
Yes, that should be a definite for that one, mate.
Good man. Have a good weekend, mate. Don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy.
What? So I can't go around insulting Scottish fans.
Yeah, I'll let you do that. Mate, it's the thing we've waited 4 years to do. Let's do it. Oh, no, we've waited 30 years to do, haven't we? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Have a good one, mate. Take care.
Take care.
Cheers. Take care. Thanks to Brad there for joining us. Always a good crack. That's the end of the show. We're through to the next round, and if you want to catch up with us, you can, of course, on YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV. Please give us a subscribe. It does mean a lot to us. We are trying to get to the 1,000 mark, and then it helps me with me not working to get a little bit of monetization. So we'd appreciate that greatly. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to it. And if you want to listen to us rather than watch us, and I get that because, let's be honest with you, I wouldn't want to watch me and I have to sit here and look at myself on the screen while I'm doing this. So I do know what you're going through. Podcasts available on Amazon Music, on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google, to name just 4. But your favorite podcast platform, or if you've got a smart speaker, just ask it to play Leicester Till I Die. We are going to be back on Thursday when we have got another Leicester War show. What's that, I hear you ask? Well,
let battle commence.
It's the Leicester War Show
on Leicester Till I Die TV. But who will win? Join in now.
It is. It's a new thing we're doing. We did one the other day with the Rodgers versus Ranieri. This is, excuse me, this is Craig and Dean, and they will be picking their Premier League team of the season. Will they agree? Yeah, I doubt it. And on Friday, what do you get when an Englishman, Welshman, and Scotsman walks into a video chat room? You get Leicester Till I Die Euro preview. We'll be looking back at all the groups, and hopefully the Scotsman will still come on. I'm sure the Welshman will, and I obviously know the Englishman will. I will see you then. So both of those 7 o'clock Thursday and Friday. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks for all your comment. Thanks to Bronzy. Thanks for coming in, mate. Thanks to Scott. Thanks to Ankit. Go and give Ankit's channel a check out there on RC Bain Chelsea Fan TV. This is Luca. Luca, thank you very much. This is Luca's Life. He's also got a good channel out there as well. Pop along and see that. Thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure, guys. Have a good weekend, and if I don't see you on Thursday, have a good game, and let's watch tomorrow and see who we are going to get. Could be interesting. Yeah. Good night now.
Hello, Matt Elliott here. Be sure to watch Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and follow all them social media platforms for all the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Some people are on the pitch, they think it's all over. It is now.
To an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.